that ufology is not just a possibility. There is a lot of ancient history all over this planet. There's a lot of ancient history still buried that we can't even get to. You know, there's actual documentation from ancient civilizations that they were here. And they didn't tell the people here, oh, well, we came across the sea, or, you know, hey, we came across that mountain over there. They came from the stars. They told them they came from the sky. So I'm not going to argue that. I don't have any reason to argue that. So that's just kind of where I am with that. My aunt's going to die. Not really. She knows I'm kind of a freak of nature when it comes to some of this stuff, but it's true. I mean, they have man bags on the hieroglyphs, right? The whole thing is interesting. But I'm going to play this wormhole clip from Travis, and hopefully you can hear it. This room was just a little bit tough to record in, but I hope you can hear it. Let's see what happens.
The idea is that you're going to need something that excites space and time in such a way. So how is it that you grab space and time right here and poke a hole in it, such that a hole opens somewhere over there across the universe, and then you can keep that hole open and crawl through it?
Well, I hope that you were able to hear that. I found the whole concept of the wormholes to be fascinating. And I just think the possibilities are there. You know, I have other friends who take like the tunnel that cats play in or kids play in, you know, the little cloth tunnels with the springs in them. And instead of going from one end to the other, they bend it and say, this is what you should be able to do with time. Time is flexible. Well, not in my world, right? I have schedules to adhere to. I've never, until those conversations, contemplated actually bending time, well, refracting, to be able to transport somewhere. And then I watched the movie Contact. And I was like, hey, I want to do that. Sadly, I was not in a position to start training to do that. But a lot of the people I spoke with at this event are signed up and ready and sitting on go, hoping to go to Mars. Think about that. You know, the big drawback is supposed to be that you're not going to be able to come back. That's an issue. I don't know any of the people that crossed the Rocky Mountains that were worried about whether they were going to be getting back to New York City or not. They wanted to see what lay on the other side. It mattered to them. They wanted to go there and to see what resources were available. Would they be able to live? Would they be safe raising their families? Would there be prosperity? Well, that's what an explorer does. And I met an awful lot of explorers that weekend. Am I brave enough to do that? Even if I were young enough and in shape to? I wouldn't do that now because I have grandchildren that I would not want to leave. 6 years ago, yeah, I might have done that. But you know what? You live. You live, you learn, you experience. Shelley says that she would want to come back, she thinks. Well, if you lived long enough, you could. So that's been the whole problem, is trying to stock craft with materials and fuel to get there and get back. So it's not going to take that long. Daniel says it takes around 158 years to make it to Mars. They are talking about getting people there in 3 years. So it's not going to be quite that bad. So I think it's interesting. We'll see. So this is Travis talking about the possibility of the planets out there. You'll know where he's from the minute he opens his mouth on this one.
And every star that we're finding has planets around it. Yes. And we're finding 1 in 5 of those stars have planets in the habitable Goldilocks zone, as it's called, meaning there could be Earth planets. And 1 in 5 of 10 to the 22. Think about that. That's a buttload of stars.
That's right, folks. You heard it right here. It is a buttload of stars. And it is. You know, when you step back and you think about what we're looking at when we walk out on the deck or walk out on the beach and look up, it's amazing, right? We are part of our own galaxy, and there's so many of them that I don't even know how many galaxies there are. How many universes are there? Something that interests me as a paranormal researcher is the possibility of all these things being tied to each other. One of the conversations that I enjoyed was the fact that if you think it, is it real? Does it become real because we create it with our mind, as in quantum? Are we quantum computers that are just constantly being downloaded and fed? I have friends that think so. I actually asked the question in the conference, and the answer was an affirmative. I don't know. The whole thing is just brilliant. And most of it's beyond most of us. So, Daniel says there's 7 super universes. So, in the Urantia book, I probably said that all wrong. But anyway, I think that there's a lot more than 7. I think they all intermingle. And just because those things exist doesn't rule out the fact that there's a creator too. So that was another part of that conversation I had with my secular scientific friend. It was fascinating because they have had experiences in the last year or so that lead them to think that there may be a possibility that people who have died physically still want to maintain a relationship in some way. And I was fortunate enough to get to talk to Whitley Strieber a couple of weeks ago about that topic itself. And he does have that communication level with his wife who passed away. They planned how to do it. It seems to be working. She's brilliant. So, Urantia. I'm not even trying that. So, anyway, I think that it's very interesting just to consider what our consciousness and our subconsciousness can do if we just leave them alone and let them do it. So, there is that. The fact that, there were spiritual people here too. You had Jonathan Young. You had Ariel Bartizak. You had William Henry. I mean, there was all kinds of information available through all these different panels. And when I was attending one Saturday morning that included these men and several others, the Rabbi Ariel was so clear and concise in one of his answers to me that it was life-altering. And it was relevant to how does one achieve the ability to communicate with a higher consciousness, with a higher self? Do you have to become an ascended master to have these experiences? And his point was that you don't start out lifting weights at 300 pounds an arm. You build up to that. You start with 25. And you build slowly but surely, and you get there. But you have to be putting the work in to be able to achieve these things. Blew my mind. It sounds so simple, right? It sounds like it should be a cakewalk. That's what I'm saying. This whole experience, I mean, it wasn't just conspiracy theory, and it wasn't just ancient human history, and it wasn't just the science side of space travel. It wasn't just this, and it wasn't just that. Every side, and make no mistake, the spiritual is a scientific side as well. Every side was fed. The information was really, really something else. You know, Jason Martell, oh my goodness, brilliant person, fantastic panels. There's so many. I mean, it was just amazing. And, you know, then on Sunday, I ran into Seth Shostak, who is SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. Extraterrestrial intelligence. What did I say? Sorry, guys. But, you know, and he is brilliant. He was there to hear the last panel as well. And you just can't... When people come and want to learn from each other, that's pretty amazing, because they know the best information is happening right there. So I thought that was interesting. And we are going to, in the next segment, I think I'm going to play this real quick. We've got 2 minutes before we go to break. This is another Travis Taylor. So here you go.
The Air Force will say, well, we held that ground from high ground, and the Army will always say, you don't hold it till you put boots on the hill, right? And so we're not going to hold Mars, or no one's on Mars, until we put boots on the ground on Mars.
And I hope you could hear that, because he's not really just a hoorah kind of guy, okay? But in order to do research and learn and see things and gain knowledge, you have to be there. This isn't something you can phone in, right? One of the quotes that I picked up that I took to heart is that you can look at pictures of Singapore and Hawaii and Sydney, Australia, and the Great Wall of China and call yourself a world traveler, but you're not. You have to get up, you have to put your boots on, and you have to go. And that is where these people are on the quest to get to Mars. This is a big deal. This is going to happen, and it's going to be cool. I'm pretty excited to watch it happen in my lifetime. I hope it's my lifetime. If not, it's going to definitely be my children's. How cool is that? Pretty darn, if you ask me. And we are going to take about a 5-minute break, so I hope that you enjoy this interlude.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.